Today, a huge milestone for the stock market as the Dow crosses 30,000 for the first time. We explain what it means as we break down this historic trading day. Plus, Snapchat comes out swinging against TikTok's wildly popular short-form video concept. And finally, another day, another gain for Tesla. This stock has been on such a tear this year that Elon Musk has climbed close to the top of the list of the world's richest people. I'm MacKenzie Sigalos, and this is CNBC After Hours. It was a day for the history books on Wall Street, the Dow setting a record high, crossing and closing above 30,000 for the first time ever. It's a milestone for the entire investing community, and it represents the long march that stocks have made over the past 8 months since the depths of the sell-off at the beginning of the coronavirus pandemic. But as far as what that number 30,000 actually means, it's not dollars, it's not a percentage, but it is important to anyone who watches the stock market. Pippa Stevens is a markets reporter for CNBC.com. She can explain how the Dow is measured, why 30,000 is significant, and how we got here.
Today, for the first time ever, the Dow Jones Industrial Average crossed above 30,000. Now, this is a symbolically significant level. The market loves these round milestones. If you remember back when the Dow hit 20,000, there was basically a party on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange, and the traders had Dow 20,000 hats. So it represents the strength of the US economy and how far we've come. And while these numbers aren't necessarily significant in and of themselves, this time around, the 30,000 really matters because it shows just how far we've come. If we think back to March, the Dow was barely above 18,000 amid the coronavirus-induced rout when the entire economy shut down in order to curb the spread of the virus. So this time around, with the Dow topping 30,000, it represents just how far we've come from that March rout. The Dow is talked about in terms of point gain and point loss. So you might see a headline saying the Dow jumped 500 points or the Dow shed 700 points. And each point correlates to a change in the underlying stock price of the 30 components within the Dow, but it's not on a one-to-one ratio. This is because when the Dow was initially founded back at the end of the 19th century, it was a simple average index. But over time, that approach became a little bit more complicated as things like stock splits took effect. So in order to overcome that, the Dow Committee decided to put in place what's known as the Dow divisor. So today, in order to calculate the value of the Dow, you add up all of the prices of the 30 stocks in the Dow and then divide by the Dow divisor, which currently stands at about 0.15. With each successive leg up in the Dow, the point gain is less indicative of the overall percentage gain. So for instance, going from 10,000 to 20,000 was a much larger and much more significant move than going from 20,000 to 30,000. So while we still quote the Dow in terms of points, a more accurate assessment is to look at that percentage move on a day-to-day basis. The Dow's march to the record 30,000 that it hit just today for the first time has been supported by record measures taken on both the fiscal and the monetary side. Federal Reserve, for instance, has pledged unlimited asset purchases in order to inject liquidity into the market, while the government passed the CARES Act in March, and further stimulus could be on the way. So these initiatives are part of what's propping up the stock market. And some people say that stocks have gotten ahead of themselves and they're not accurately reflecting the inherent risk. More recently, positive developments on the COVID-19 vaccine front have fueled the gains, as have the election uncertainty dimming, as President Donald Trump said that they would begin the transition of power to President-elect Joe Biden and taking that uncertainty out of the market. So while there certainly have been positives that have supported stock prices, there are plenty of people on the street that say the unprecedented measures that were taken to get us here will eventually come back to bite them.
Okay, let's get to our sound check. Here's a roundup of the day's biggest action and what the top newsmakers and business leaders had to say on CNBC's airwaves.
Look, the market, I think, is doing well today. to a certain extent because of Janet Yellen. The market was up 48% when Janet Yellen had been the Fed chair.
There is no way to make the airlines operate during this pandemic with any kind of rational thought here and continued thought to safety layers without that government help.
Even if there is a short-term package for the next few months until we get into the new Biden administration, we have to act now.
All of those freezers that I have right now inside Northwell has the capacity to hold 7.7 million doses of the vaccine, almost 8 million doses of the vaccine.
The Dow is not the only thing setting a new record today. Tesla stock also hit an all-time high. And if that sounds familiar, it's because we said the exact same thing yesterday. This company has just been unstoppable this year, up about 560% in 2020. You heard me right. And in the past 12 months, Tesla shares have surged 730%. The electric vehicle maker is now worth roughly $500 billion, with a T. $100 billion of that market cap was added in just the past week. For context, auto industry giants Ford and GM are worth about $100 billion combined. And as goes Tesla's market cap, so goes Elon Musk's personal wealth. As a result of these latest stock moves, Elon Musk has surpassed Bill Gates to become the second richest person on the planet. CNBC Wealth editor Robert Frank has all the numbers.
Elon Musk passing Bill Gates to become the second richest person in the world with a fortune of over $128 billion. Now, never before has anyone become so wealthy so quickly. Just this year in 2020, Elon Musk has added $100 billion to his wealth. That works out to $13 million per hour for the entire year of 2020. Now, in the coming years, he could also benefit from this incredible pay package that was granted back in 2018. That could be valued at an additional $55 billion if Tesla meets certain market caps and hits certain performance strategies. Now, Tesla stock would have to reach about $900 for Elon Musk to get to the number one slot. But that's not going to be easy, because Jeff Bezos has added $67 billion to his wealth this year, and that stock just keeps going higher. Now, you look at how the billionaires have done during this whole pandemic and this year, which has been so tough on so many. The billionaires have added $1.3 trillion to their wealth just this year.
Okay, time for today's numbers round. Let's kick it off with 19,000. Bitcoin continues its ruthless climb higher. The popular cryptocurrency crossed $19,000, inching closer to its all-time high levels hit back in December of 2017. Of course, that bubble burst shortly thereafter, and the price tumbled down to about $3,000 in 2018. But Bitcoin bulls say that this time is different. They point to big fintech players like Square and PayPal adding crypto products, plus old school investors like Stanley Druckenmiller and Paul Tudor Jones dipping their toes in this space as well. Next, 1 million. Snap wants to eat TikTok's lunch. Snapchat is rolling out a product called Spotlight, which features a feed of short-form videos that play on a loop until a user swipes away to a new video. Sounds very familiar. Spotlight is debuting shortly after Facebook unveiled its own TikTok competitor, Instagram Reels. And Snap is not messing around. The company is paying $1 million a day to creators who post the best performing Spotlight content. And finally, 34. With a handful of vaccine candidates showing promising efficacy data, one of which is already under FDA review, along with the official presidential transition finally starting, CNBC's Jim Cramer is looking ahead to what the world will look like when social distancing and quarantines are behind us. He put together a list of 34 companies that he calls return to normalcy stocks, and he's recommending investors scoop these up before things start reopening. On the list are cruise lines, retailers, and some airline names. Check out the full list by going to CNBC.com and downloading the CNBC app. That's it for After Hours, but we'll be back here in our home office tomorrow, so be sure to catch us then.